Well, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I have the great privilege of announcing our final award this evening for 2015. It's the annual Greater Cedar Valley Alliance and Chamber Legacy Award. This award is sponsored this year again by Birch Manufacturing and, of course, honors the memory of the man whom we heard about earlier tonight, Harold Brock. And tonight, the Legacy Award is being presented to someone for whom I have the greatest respect, and for someone who has had certainly a lasting and positive impact on our Cedar Valley community and far beyond. I'm very happy to announce this year's Legacy Award winner. Watch the video, Ed Gallagher, Jr.
Born and raised in Waterloo, Edward J. Gallagher Jr. has been extremely active in civic and community organizations. A veteran of the United States Navy and considered one of the best lawyers in America, time and time again, Edward Gallagher Jr. has gone above and beyond for the Cedar Valley.
You know, the Legacy Award is there to honor someone who has a lifetime of service to the Cedar Valley, and no one does that better than Ed Gallagher. Again, he went off to war, came home, went to school, and immediately came back to Waterloo, built a practice, and immediately began helping to build Waterloo into a better place to live. And we see the evidence of that everywhere today, whether it's at the Gallagher Bluedorn facility or over at the Grout Museum facility and the Five Sullivan Brothers. The other things that have gone on in the downtown of Waterloo, his church. He's the kind of guy that we can point to and say he has spent his entire lifetime working for the Cedar Valley, and we have the evidence that shows that we're a better place because of it, and we're better because we know Ed.
A member of Rotary, the Elks, Knights of Columbus, St. Edward's Catholic Church, and many more service organizations, Ed is one of the greatest supporters of the Cedar Valley.
Well, Ed's legacy is an amazing thing. One of the things that I thought Ed also did was he was a leadership giver. So he was never the last guy to get in. He was always the guy that you could go to when you had a good idea and you wanted to have some support and build some momentum. Because Ed would be the first one to step forward, and he would lead us forward. And I think if you look at the community, you know, the Gallagher Bluedorn wasn't built with 1 or 2 donors. It was built with about 1,000 donors. And that's the kind of leadership that we had when you had Ed leading off.
Congratulations to the Legacy Award recipient for 2015, Mr. Edward Gallagher Jr.
Well, it takes a lot to bring tears to an old Irishman like myself. I love you all, and I thank you for this honor. I thank the staff for going all the work to tell those lies about me. And I had no idea when some people called me and asked me about this, that it would have, so much fuss was being done in my behalf, and I do appreciate it. I called Betty. I said, Betty, do we make a speech on this? She said, no. You don't say anything, except if you want to say a few words, we'd listen to you. So. And then tonight I asked her, when do you want to finish this thing? And she said, 9 o'clock. Well, to keep a lawyer down to, well, really about 30 seconds, she really expects too much. And you know, as I sat here tonight, and listen, I'd never even read the program before I got here, I thought of the marvelous hours and work and memos, because I'm familiar with that. I was never part of it, but to see what must have been done to prepare for a banquet of 600 people. But you know what I see is a wave of confidence, positivism. We're going places. And I think the merger was a great thing that brought about part of this, what I consider optimism and so forth. So I start out with that feeling in my heart, and I hope in yours, that we're not old Waterloo to get beat up or Cedar Falls. We're here, we're going forward, folks. And I'm going to tell you, don't look backward, because we ain't going that way. Do you agree? Why did we walk that extra mile? Why are we proud as we turn around in Waterloo and Cedar Falls? I suggest it's because of my pride and your pride in the Cedar Valley and what it should be to all of us. I see industrial progress. Some of those things tonight I didn't fully understand. Now, if you did, you raise your hand and how all that happened. But to me, it's vision. We need that vision to do the job and the challenge we have. You know, as I have been on vacation, it was a heck of a bad vacation because I fell on the tile floor where I was staying, and don't do that, you know. And it was in the shower. And I'd been having all my friends and family saying, don't fall, because I have a little balance problem, and they, don't fall, you're gonna break bones. So that awful fall, I felt, well, I hit my back kind of squarely, you know, flat like that. So I maybe didn't bust it. So they rushed me down in an ambulance to the Mayo Clinic, and they took x-ray after x-ray. And I hope the diagnosis isn't wrong, but I'll share it with you. A lot of badly, badly bruised back muscles and so forth. And so that's why I'm accepting propelled motivation tonight, movement. And I hope it goes away pretty soon. But anyway, that's why I'm in the shape I'm in. But you know, as I came down Fifth Street, I thought of the fact I've driven down this street for some 60 years, practicing law, and practicing law nearly every day of my life. And I thought then of this the other night, what should I tell these people? And my theme is why I love Waterloo and Cedar Falls. I love them. This is my hometown. And I'm not going to leave here until they carry me. So I think we should all have that attitude. Be positive about it. I remember when I was just graduating from Georgetown Law School, I didn't have any money, of course, nobody did then. And I called my dad, and my dad came to Waterloo in 1912, I think. And I said to him, Dad, what should I do? Here's his advice. And I give it to you young people today. in the audience. He said, "Son, Waterloo was good to me, and it's going to be good to you." And you know, he was right. Waterloo has been good to me. Along came marriage to Kathy, the practice of law, lifelong friends, satisfying activities and leadership roles in my church. God bless the AMVETS, American Veterans of World War II. And I worked with that, and I became the national president. I had a lot of, and still have, satisfying activities and roles in my church. And Billy Bailey's here tonight. Billy and I have worked for Billy probably 20 years, trying to keep the Grout Museum going strong and seeing 2 new additions to it that we had to raise the money for. And sometimes not knowing where we're going to get the rest, the paychecks for the latter part of the month. But we faced all those things, and today the Grout Museum is strong, and I think we don't have to take a backseat to anybody at the Grout Museum, but we need your help, because without that help, we can't go on. And of course, I worked for the 3rd fundraising activity at the Grout, which was the Sullivan Brothers Iowa Veterans Museum. And you know, I defy anybody to say that isn't the best World War II Veterans Museum in the state of Iowa. You know? Kathy and I worked on those projects as well, and I had some wonderful people working together with me on these activities that we had going. So I've got to mention one more person who's here tonight, I believe, Dave Allball. Dave is a dear retiree, and he brought the best committee together. And some of those guys I couldn't understand when they talked either, but what they did is they gave us the technical advice so that the Grout has this unique feature. You pay a minimum amount, you push a button, and with a key, which was what we call our battle, you know, that we wore on our neck at World War II. And that has been very successful, innovative, and we got to be proud of what we do in Waterloo. And we have to sell it to the rest of the state and to the world. My secret weapon during those days was Kathy, because she basically worked on everything I did. She knew what I was doing. So we worked together on these activities, and you all know that. I don't have to tell you. Cedar Valley Catholic School has recently dedicated a new middle school. And I had the joy of working with that from the very first minute it was thought of. And believe me, the feeling that I had in my heart when I saw those kids when we opened the school, walking up the aisle, it filled me with the same kind of feeling I had tonight to your response to my nomination for this award. You know, the Sullivan brothers have always been a part of our community life. I wrote my thesis after I got out of the Navy. I went back to Loras College and finished, and then went on to law school. But several years ago, anyway, I wanted to tell you, I wrote my thesis, and one of the pages concerned itself with Mrs. Sullivan. Remember, just think of the emotion in her heart to hang 5 gold stars in her window. Those 5 boys went down in November of 1942 on the USS Juno, all together. And then the then mayor of Waterloo, shortly thereafter, asked me to be chairman to rename the Conway Center. Remember when it was the Conway Center? Into the Sullivan Brothers. And that was a joy because we brought back 6 of the 7 then survivors still alive of the Juno, and I had talks with them and introduced them at the service we had when we did the dedication. And that was a real joy and a memory to me. And so tonight, and it's getting late, I say farewell. With a sense of pride and accomplishment that I've heard tonight of the chambers of Waterloo and Cedar Falls and what they're trying to do, and they're not letting those narrow-minded people saying it couldn't be done or it won't be done, nothing will happen, and they proved them wrong. And I say let's continue to prove those critics wrong and go forward with what we're trying to do here tonight. I see, as I told you, the results of those efforts. And remember what I told you. Don't look backward, look forward, because that's the way we're going, and that's the way we're going to go. Thank you, and God bless.